Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to lesson 14 of Straight Path Academy Arabic Volume 1, Reading Arabic Letters. In this lesson, we learn two new letters. Firstly, this is the letter Ha, and the letter Ha sounds like a soft H. For example, the name Harun begins with the letter Ha. It's important to remember that the letter Ha is a soft H because we previously learned in lesson 4 that the letter Ha is a sharp H. That's why the transliteration for the sharp Ha is written with a capital H, whereas the transliteration for the soft Ha is going to be written with a lowercase h. So the soft Ha is just going to be said more relaxed, opposed to the sharp Ha, where you really have to work your throat muscles a bit more. This is how the soft letter Ha looks when it's written alone, and here's how it looks when it's in the beginning, middle, or end of a connection. We can compare the shape of the letter Ha to a hole. So when it's written alone, it just looks like a plain hole. When it's in the beginning of a connection, it's a hole with a little string attached to it, connecting to the next letter. When it's in the middle of a connection, there's a hole above and below the line. And then when it ends a connection, the line comes straight up with a hole coming out to the left. And that is the soft letter Ha. Next, we have the letter Ya. And the letter Ya sounds similar to the English letter Y. For example, the name Yahya begins with the letter Ya. This is how the letter Ya looks when it's written alone, and this is how it looks in the beginning, middle, and end of a connection. As we can see, it has that U shape at the bottom, somewhat similar to the Ba, Ta, and Tha. However, only the letter Ya has two dots underneath. So when you see those two dots underneath, you know that it is the letter Ya. So now let's practice by completing the exercise. Let's try number 9 together. First, we identify the letter. Here we see in the beginning of a connection a hole shape with a string coming down connecting to the letter after it. We just learned that this is the letter Ha, which is a soft H. So we're going to write a lowercase h for the letter Ha. Above the Ha, we find a fatha, so we write an A for the fatha. So the letter Ha with a fatha would be pronounced Ha. Ha. Next, we find this shape in between a connection with two dots underneath. So we just learned when we find two dots underneath, we know that that is the letter Ya. So we're going to write a Y for the letter Ya. Above the letter Ya, we see a fatha, so we write A for the fatha. So together, the letter Ya and fatha would be pronounced Ya. Ya. Finally, at the end of a connection, we see a line coming up with a hole coming out to the left. That is the letter Ha, so we're going to write a lowercase h for the soft Ha. And above the letter Ha, we find a dhamma, so we're going to write a U for the dhamma. So the soft Ha and dhamma would be pronounced Hu. Hu. So if we pronounce this all together, it would be Ha, Ya, Hu. Ha, Ya, Hu. Let's try one more with more letters. Let's do number 30. First, we identify the letter. This hole shape beginning a connection with the string coming down connecting to the next letter is the letter Ha. So we're going to write a lowercase h for the soft Ha. Above the letter Ha is a dhamma, so we're going to write a U for the dhamma. So the Ha and dhamma would be pronounced Hu. Hu. Next, we find a circle shape with two dots above, which means this is the letter Qaf. So we're going to write a Q for the letter Qaf. Beneath the Qaf is a Kesra, so we're going to write an I for the Kesra. The Qaf and Kesra will be pronounced Qi. Qi. Here we have a wave-like shape with no dots, meaning this is the letter Ha, which is a sharp H sound. So we're going to write a capital H for the sharp Ha. Above the sharp Ha, we find a fatha, so we're going to write an A for the fatha. So the sharp Ha and fatha together would be pronounced Ha. Ha. Next, we find this shape in between a connection with two dots beneath, which we just learned in this lesson is the letter Ya. So we're going to write a Y for the letter Ya. Above the Ya, we find a dhamma, so we write a U for the dhamma. So the Ya with a dhamma would be pronounced U. U. And finally, ending a connection, we see this hook shape coming down with a little lightning bolt in the middle, meaning this is the letter Kaf. So we're going to write a K for the letter Kaf. And beneath the letter Kaf, we find two Kesras. So we write an I for the first Kesra and N for the tanween. So the kaf with tanween kasra would be pronounced kin, kin. Finally, if we pronounce all these letters and harakat together, we would say hu, qi, ha, yu, kin. Hu, qi, ha, yu, kin. That does it for this lesson. Keep up the great work. We are getting closer and closer to finishing the course. Make sure you complete the exercise and continue to practice. Jazakumullahu khairan. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.